All righty, guys. And now this is a new one for me. I have yet to do a second interview, but Gemma just inspired me so much, and we dug in so deep that I asked Gemma to come back on for part two of her incredible story of overcoming. And so, without further ado, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Miss Gemma Serenity. Thank you for coming back and chatting with us again.
It is such an honor, a pleasure. Thank you. I feel loved to be
You
here.
are loved. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? For sure.
So I am Gemma Serenity Gorokhoff, and I am victorious over 15 years of domestic violence. Beaten, put down, raped, almost killed twice by strangulation. Two different stories, one time 5 years, one time 10 years. There is a relapse. At the end of the second story, I was so done. I couldn't take it anymore. It was like, okay, I did everything to leave. I did everything to break this relationship, but I was entangled in so many ways. And the strongest bond was that guilt of responsibility and commitment that brought me back home at each attempt to leave. Even when I asked the police to report for domestic violence, to be accompanied to pick up my baby and my a few stuff, and to be brought to the women's shelter. That same night, I was back home as if I never left. But that was the last night. I'm going to tell you why. When you are that much at the end of all that you can bear, now you start to consider, okay, if I cannot live by myself, I'm going to live this life. Are we clear? Because what I'm going to do is to go to God in person, or right, in spirit. Meaning for that, I will have to die so that I can actually go back where I come from, because I know my soul is eternal anyway, and we are here for a while and then back, and then we are sent back because I believe that we come back over and over and over again to evolve a little bit more. And I'm going to make my plea to God. I'm going to tell him, I did not sign up for a life of abuse. I am done. I'm okay, you send me back. However, you send me back to a life of love, joy, peace, serenity, respect, adoration in a love couple that work and that elevate each other. Are we clear? That's my intention. But I'm so clear on my intention when I'm opening the window of the 10th floor to indeed break my body, let my spirit go to heaven, and talk to God. That also means something else. I have just in that moment opened up my spirit to communicate with God because I'm ready to talk. And in 1 minute, just the time to break my body, I'm dead, meaning I'm with God. How good. So God does not need us to die in order to talk to us. That was monumental revelation I experienced that day.
Yeah.
And I heard his voice answering back to me based on my intention. This is
So
how.
let's pause real quick because I really want that. I want the community to hear this because it's very, very important. Well, two things. One, I love how we as humans in our ego-ness, right? Because it's such ego for us to demand that things be different, that we demand that it be X, Y, and Z. I mean, that is the definition of ego. But then more importantly, something that you mentioned that is critical for people to understand. Intention is everything, right? We as humans, we as spirits have been given this beautiful gift of free will. And we cannot receive the help from the universe, God, love, however you define your experience, unless you set that intention and ask for guidance, like release your will over to something greater than yourself. And in that moment of suffering, when you're like, I'm over this, I'm done now, I intend to have this conversation, you let go of your free will to then open yourself up to receive guidance in a meaningful way. So now you're 10 floors up, and you've just kind of set this intention like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. And what happens?
So I'm on the edge. The next fraction of a second, I'm over the edge. And at that moment in time, I hear the voice. But that voice makes me feel loved, acknowledged, that I matter, that I am embraced, that I am precious. In a voice, and the most beautiful voice I have ever heard my entire life. It's divine. Okay, let's put the word where it is. It is divine. And that voice told me, of course you can jump. It's going to work. But I'm going to give you the same life in worse. Is that real time? Right? But when God prompts you, this is something you do, right? Give it a try. I thought to myself, oh, well, I can always die tomorrow. I'm not in a hurry to die, actually. Let me give it a try. Another try. And I passed by the door. And the door, it's the first time, was silent. No cracking on the door to attract attention. I was able to withdraw silently, alive, running through the 10 floors of the apartment building. Running away, I fled domestic violence once and for all. However, I did not take my children, I did not take my stuff, I did not take my money, I did not take any phone, nothing. Just the clothes I have on me, sneakers on my feet, and gone. No plan whatsoever. My plan was to die. What do you want me to prepare a plan? I had no plan. And it's
Isn't
one
that the way though? I feel like, even in addiction recovery, like you have to get unfortunately our ego is so pervasive that we have to get to a place that if you stay in whatever situation it is, domestic violence, addiction, in a career that is just, horrible,
let's
so
just put in an abusive and toxic relationship with
yeah, whatever, you get to a point where it does not you cannot sit in that experience one more second. You
Exactly.
can't. It just
Done.
it's impossible. And then you leave of your own volition without anything with you, but the sense of freedom you get, I mean, it's scary, but it's like the heavens open up. You're like, "Ah!" Right? Like, yeah.
It felt painless once I was outside in the street.
Mhm.
Painless. It was 1:30 a.m. Complete night, complete silence, nobody out, alone. It felt painless suddenly, and I was there, whoa! I had such a huge physical, emotional pain because the emotional pain ends up hurting physically in your heart chakra area and all of that. Instantly, that pain was gone. And I was there, what did I do? What happened? Did I live for real? And I'm not dead? What? Okay. It doesn't hurt. Okay. So now what? I don't know. But asking the question by being open to surrender, and you ask, okay, so now what? The answer came back like boom. The exact location where I met Sasha, where he lives. Sasha is my third last and dream husband. At that moment in time, he was a new acquaintance. We had a connection. And voila, we decided to consider each other brother, sister, for lack of better word. We had no availability to build any love whatsoever, but we were brother and sister. This is how we decided, and we got to know each other 15 days prior. That's it. So a new person. And I knew he was alone at home, and he had a couch. And I thought suddenly, whoa, I know his address. I'm not going to get myself in any trouble or be seen by anybody whatsoever. I'm going to walk by foot to his home. It was a 2 hours walk. Let me go by foot, middle of the night, alone, woman, walk. If 6 months prior to that, I learned an affirmation that allows you to be invisible. And I repeated like a mantra this invisibility quote. And I just said, I am invisible to the vigilant eye of any ill-intentioned person. I am invisible to the vigilant eye of any ill-intentioned person. Like a mantra, boom, boom, for 2 hours, each step. And I remember that there was 2 drunk people who tried to mess up with me or interrupt me, and I just did not look at them, circumvent, continue to walk, one step in front of the other, strong. Boom, 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 boom. I am invisible anyway. I just keep on going. I did that. It worked. I know that during the first episode, we already went through all that first transition, and 1 hour was already passed. So that gives back a memory about that episode that I'm sure is listed down there in the description to make sure that you can actually go back, listen to all of that. So let's go back later in life. So in the meantime, Sasha welcomed me, allowed me to pass through the entire hospital psych ward, support, psychologist, psychiatrist, women's shelter, housing system. I lost custody on my older child, who was 15 years old at that time. Within 15 days, his biological father just like put a court order done, and I had nothing to say except I'm in the women's shelter. Yeah, I'm going to put my life back together. I don't know when and how, but I'm on the recovery of it. Yeah. And the judge just said, what does the kid want? He's 15 years old. He will do what he wants anyway. Kid, come over. Kid came. What do you want? I want Papa. Okay, so let's go to Papa.
And how was that experience for you? Because now you are fragile. You're strong, but fragile, right? Because you're now fighting for your life outside of control by other people, right? And you don't have the strong sense of yourself. Sure. You know, we I do believe, much like you, we are divinely guided, but we still have to contend with the human experience, which is not easy.
Indeed. Indeed. So to me, it was like my heart torn apart, because for 15 years, I fought for this kid. I fought every fiber of my body to keep this kid away from his biological father. As much as possible, it was not possible, but as much as possible. And to make sure that I give him the best of everything, the best example, like industrious, working, conscious, responsible. My kid never connected with that. He connected with the leisure, easygoing, cannabis, alcohol, and all kind of mental illness of his father. So it was extremely hard.
Yeah.
And I just did everything I could. I noticed that as long as I was clear, strong on my intention, nobody was going to get the custody away from me. But as soon as I lost it, instantly it was done. 15 days. That's short. That's short.
And you have to stay the course because you know you have no other choice. Like, what else do you do at that point, right?
So Sasha, who was supporting me already fully at that moment in time, we were not a couple with Sasha at that time, still not. But he was there with me every single day, like support. Also allowing to reflect and think about what was going on, to manage that earthly human experience.
Yeah.
It's hard. So he kept on telling me, change perspective. It may be your biggest blessing because now you can focus on yourself and you have a lot to do on yourself. So take it as a blessing. But my baby, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a blessing. He's not a baby anymore.
And
Gosh.
think about this, like, what a gift Sasha was in that moment because, again, we as women who are mothers are conditioned that you put your children's needs above all else, you prioritize them. But the reality is when you don't know who you are, when you don't have a strong foundation, how can you really give to your child? You can't. And then to make matters more difficult, you have society infusing their judgment on you for now losing your child, which does not help when you're trying to establish an understanding of who you are and the fact that you're worthy of is that was a real gift that you had that. um but also I know from having
I remember, and especially for my baby as well. I had a 2 years old baby at that time with the one I just left. My older had his own father, who was another person, the first marriage. The second baby was a second marriage. So they were like 15 and 2 at
yeah,
that time. All of that is back in 2013.
yeah.
So if you think about now, I mean, they are 10 years older.
Yep. But I do want to say something to the community because you highlighted this in the beginning of the episode and it really bears mentioning. You went from one abusive marriage to another abusive marriage. I went from some addictions to, sex and all different addictions in my early years to addictions to work and alcohol in my later years. And the reason why is because neither one of us knew at that time to work on ourselves so that way we can break free from that habitual behavior and belief system. And so, for anybody out there watching this, what you guys really, really need to grasp is if you are not looking at yourself and changing your internal narrative, seeking help, and starting to identify what it is within you that needs to be healed so you're not going to fall back into these patterns of behavior, you will inevitably recycle the experience in a different person, in a different addiction, in a different job. It doesn't matter because you haven't gotten to the root cause and core belief system that needs to be pulled apart. So I really love that you highlighted that. So we talk about, the angst that you went through having to now navigate your own healing journey while losing your children. Fortunately, God gave you this beautiful gift in Sasha to be that anchor, right? Because we all need some type of anchor as we are moving through very difficult, challenging situations. What led you to ultimately leave your current environment, meaning another country, and come to America to start over?
It's an interesting question. I'm going to keep it in mind because I just want to finish that
Yes,
relapse,
please.
because
Yeah.
that relapse also has another layer that I am freeing myself from now,
Mm,
10, 11 years later. Yes, I did change my mindset about abusive and toxic relationship with people. Yes, I am unmessable with. You cannot get me on that one because I know and because I worked enough on that one. But I noticed one thing. My relationship with money is as abusive as my
Mm.
ex-husband's. So that means that at a much deeper layer, there is still that constant battle, constant hardship, constant, it's manifesting, come to me, and now I have to let you go. And I'm tired of that. And can you just be simply abundant and flowing? Yeah, I can do that. And then I spend it all, and it's like, I said you stay. I can spend you, but you stay. It doesn't work. And what I started to discover as the base layer, and I'm really sharing that from the perspective of I understand that this abusee is pervasive and touches so many layers in your life. And you may be the best leader at work. You may be the best wife, the best girlfriend, the best daughter, the best sister. If you have not healed the deepest layer of self-love, self-acceptance, self-esteem, valorization of self, donc self-worth, worth can also lead to worth toward money, with money, money as an entity, as a person, if you consider it as is. And say, okay, am I worthy of receiving money? Or do I still have I'm not good enough, I'm going to spend it anyway type of thought? So give me more, and I promise I will find another way to spend it. What does money want? Imagine money as an entity, as a person, as a spirit, beyond the numbers that goes that transact. Imagine that. Say, okay, money, I want you in my life, in abundance. I want that anything I spend comes back to me multiplied. Okay? Where does the value of money comes from? From the transaction that we do with money. Money inherently has no value, has only the value we give to it to exchange for a service, a product, something. So without exchanging, money has no value.
Yep.
Like, keep $1 million in your account and do not touch it. Okay, and I still have to pay for phone. Okay, so get the money elsewhere. Yeah, but I have $1 million. No, you don't. Okay, so I still have to actually work for money. How about you turn it over and you start to heal your relationship with money in order to welcome money as a feeling of you have enough, you have more than enough, you have always an excess from what you need and what you want. And from that place, that you have 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, it doesn't matter because you just know that you have enough. That is such a huge mindset shift. And that is the one I'm changing right here, right now, 2024. I have been working on that one a long time, but I'm really now I'm addressing it head on. Same way that I addressed head on domestic violence when it was 2012, shortly before 2013, when I broke free.
Yeah. So I have a very strong understanding of how you're tying this in, because again, our relationship with money is no different than our relationship with a significant other, or a relationship with alcohol, or our relationship with um a job. But can you, for the community watching, how do you identify on your deepest level, how do you correlate the two? How does domestic violence and this ebb and flow up and down relationship with money tie together on the internal work that you're doing?
Excellent question. Excellent question. I realized because of the number of time I felt abused by the lack of money. And I felt abused by my ex-husbands. Ah, did I really heal from domestic violence? Ah, okay. Change of perspective.
Yeah.
How did you heal from domestic violence? I chose that I have worse and I changed the rule of the game. Okay. How do you change your relationship with money? You choose that you have worse and you change the rules of the game. Again. Okay. Same with alcohol. By the way, alcohol, little like apartheid. In my blood family, there is so many alcoholism at such a crazy high level that at 15 years old, I got myself drunk one time and I was actually hooked in one time at 15 years old. And it took me an entire week to drink less, and to stop.
Yeah.
That scared me so much that I understood I am not to touch any alcohol ever again in my entire life. Just stay away from it. And the few times I allowed myself in just a glass here or there, and I feel how it instantly impairs me. And I hate being impaired.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I hate that. I
So,
cannot.
I really want to highlight for anybody watching this how much I value, love, and appreciate you, because you and I are very similar in that we take our in this present moment experience and we use it to not only continue to pick apart our own conditioning, our behaviors, but we also share it in vulnerability to hopefully help others do the same. And that's why I wanted to have you on here. And it's interesting because right before we hit record, I told you, I was like, it's been a doozy of a morning. And it was because of an interaction that I had with my siblings around planning a celebration for my father's 70th birthday. And I was immediately thrown into this ideology that I'm bad, that I'm selfish, that I'm not good, simply because of the day that my sister and I had chosen to have this celebration. And I sat in the shame for a half a second and I'm like, hell no. Hell no. I'm not doing this dance not one more second. And to your point, we have to do that. You said it's a shift in perspective, and that's exactly what mental health and discipline and resilience is it's choosing in any given moment. I am no longer going to allow myself to sit and seep and own this perspective that is being projected onto me by another individual. Now, granted, I brought it to me. So I can do one of two things. I can heal from it. It can just be another opportunity for me to thank the universe for reminding me that I get to choose. Or I can sit in the shit, meaning I can sit in the suffering and ideology that kept me stuck for so many years. And what I'm hearing you say to myself as a reflection and to the community who's watching this, whether it is an old narrative with what you're worthy of in a relationship, or what you're worthy of in receiving abundance and money and really anything that this world has to offer you, or whether it's a relationship with a sibling, that you get to decide, and it is in this moment that we get to choose one of two things: peace or suffering. piece of suffering. And if it's suffering, I beg of you to reach out and find a way to get out of that, because all that is doing in this moment is creating more suffering in your future instead of creating more peaceful moments. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you so much for chiming in. It's so real. We are all in that same boat called life. We are all managing the ebbs and flows. We are all dealing with that constant choice. There was a verse in the Bible: I placed in front of you life and death. Please choose life so that you may live.
Yes, it's so true. And that's why, you know, I it really, I'm gonna just call a spade a spade. It blows my mind that people will put so much work and effort and energy into a career, into physical fitness, into their looks, into their home, and yet will not put that same effort into their mental, physical, and energetic well-being, which is the very thing you need to do the work on consistently so that you can live instead of die. Because for me, death isn't a physical manifestation. It isn't the loss of this body. Death is not being in love, not being in connection with you, with every single person that I experience. It's not, death is sitting in anxiety and depression and suffering. That to me is the definition of death. But to sit in life means you have to constantly take the experience you're having and make a choice to sit in life, to learn, to shift perspectives. And it's so much work, Gemma. Would you not say it's work? It really is work, but it's worth it.
The work it's not hard, it's constant.
Yes.
Consistency of the choice that you have to remind yourself is the quote unquote hard work. It's not hard, it's a choice, it's a decision. And honestly, remember what I told you. At the instant I actually walked away, fled at 1:30 a.m. on June 15, 2013, the pain, emotional pain, dissipated instantly.
Yep.
Yeah, there was no pain anymore.
Now, but now fast forward to 2024, where you recognize this dance that you're having with relationship to money. The moment that you realize you are abundant, you're free from pain. You're free from suffering. And, if we are talking about the Bible, if we want to go there, the reality is sin comes from the Greek word, which actually means error. And error is not that you're a bad person or you've done anything bad. Error is separation from joy and love. So the moment you come back to peace, the moment you come back to like that freedom, that's when you're tapped and tuned into the universe, and that's when you can truly experience the manifestation, the physical experience of being in joy and love. And that is why it is a constant choice, and it's a constant awareness of your thoughts, and it's a constant recognition of what are you experiencing in this moment. Are you in peace, joy, and love, or are you in anxiety, fear, depression? One is going to create resistance, the other is going to create flow. And that truly is the definition of how perspective really creates the reality that we experience.
Fully agree.
Oh, this is so good. Not at all where I anticipated this going, but necessary. And I love it so much. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Now let's come back to your question before
Yes.
I finish that first big chapter of inner transformation from toxic, abusive relationship with whoever, to inner serenity, inner peace. You asked me how, after being torn apart and losing your children, you decide to move from Switzerland, middle of Europe, to United States, California. What happened? What that? I mean, objectively, it's basically half the other half of the earth. Go for it. Yeah. First of all, disclaimer. I made that choice instinctively. I had no idea what I was putting myself through, what I was putting Sasha through. I had no idea. I was not aware of the consequences and the time it takes to actually build yourself back up from scratch in another country, other language, other money, other rules, other size, other mindset, other mentality. Gosh, it's a lot of other when you come from Switzerland and you arrive in California.
But think about this. If you knew, I think if any of us knew, if I knew what it would take to build the business that I'm building, or if I knew what it would have taken to raise 2 children, would I have actually followed through? I don't think so. So I think
I'm not
it's a
sure about
gift.
that.
I think our ignorance is God's gift to us.
So that's the first big disclaimer. I did not know what I was going to put myself through and to put Sasha through.
But it was his choice, though, because he could have said no.
He invited me 3 weeks in California, and we were barely newly deciding to be a love couple. So it was really at the beginning of the relationship. I did not believe him when he asked me for my passport. I gave him my passport like nothing. I did not believe 1 second he would actually do that. But he did. He booked us a flight to Los Angeles. To where? What? Yeah, we're going in November 2013 in Los Angeles. Are there civilized people over there? That was my first question. You can measure level of ignorance, like complete ignorance. I was just locked in my tiny little world, in tiny little Switzerland, where everybody knows everybody. And now you just take me on the other side of the earth and you just said, well, why would you be afraid of what? I told him what. And he said, okay, but with me you are safe, so let's go there. And if you can go half the other side of the earth, then you can do anything in between. Then you do not have any fear of travel anymore. Sure. But I was scared to, not to death, but to sickness. I made myself sick in order to miss that departure, like throwing up sick. Entire body froze when I looked at all those things in the airport. I was impossible to move. And Sasha, when he saw that, almost cathartic. He saw that is the whoa. With all the cage and all of that, and now she stops. Oh, okay. And he said, okay, don't think I'm going to do that very often. I hope not. I'm going to talk to you very military, and you're going to do exactly what I say. Walk. Walk. The basic, the base hypothesis that made it work, the entire thing, is that I love and I trust Sasha from day one. We later became a romantic love couple, but
Yeah.
I love and trust him no matter what from the get-go. I have that innate admiration and trust, meaning that if he tells me walk, I walk. I don't discuss that, regardless where my mind can go crazy or frozen. So that is the hypothesis. Walk. Okay, I did walk. Okay, that is, etc. I mean, anyway, the frozen fear left me once the plane was in the air. And I started to look down and to see a change of perspective. Now look at the entire world that was so tiny mini and so immense for you, but so tiny mini from up there. So that is what you're living now. You are going to go above the entire Europe, above the entire ocean, above the entire United States, and we're going to go on the other coast. And it's going to last 12 hours of flight. Nice. But instantly, once the plane was in the air, that entire frozen left, no more.
Yeah.
And from there, a newfound joy, excitement, amazement, discovery, childlike, star in the eyes. I had no idea about all of that. I didn't know it was even true. I saw a few pictures here and there that you may see here or there. I did not realize.
You didn't have that visceral experience. Yeah.
No. And once we landed in Los Angeles, discovered what a rainy day in Los Angeles is. It's a joke. It's at 3 drops of water. It's a rainy day. Yeah, sure. That's one of the first very funny discovery. And we had the best time of my life. 3 weeks of pure bliss. Sasha brought me everywhere, showed me everything, drove me around everywhere. We were loved, cared for. Everything worked amazing. It was another world, and it was peaceful. And it was amazing. Star in the eyes, constant. So the end of the 3 weeks, now we're going to go back to Switzerland, back to our tiny mini country where everybody knows each other, back where I have 2 abusive ex-husbands, back where I have all the memory of the hurt, back where I don't want to go back ever again. And I was in tears. And Sasha comes and sees me in tears. What? I mean, I gave you the best time of your life and you're crying like, what? Did I do wrong? I'm sorry. I don't know for what, but I'm sorry. And I just said, I don't want to leave. We are moving over here. We what? We are moving over here. For you and the children, I will make that happen. In 5 seconds, he sacrificed his entire life. He did build in Switzerland. And he was very well connected, had an entire, everything you want in life, he had it in Switzerland. All built. And he has a disability that makes it more difficult to make it happen. All good. He had it all. And I told him we move. Shock. From there, we went through the motion. It took us an entire year because there was a lot of things to close and to finish and to come close circle in Switzerland in order to actually be able to live for good. And we arrived 1 year later, and it was hell on earth. It did not work. Nothing was actually what we expected. That bliss of a holiday, of a blessed holiday, there was none of that. There was like actual, real nitty-gritty feeling, noise, different, not the right house. We couldn't choose anything. It was just like Here is something so that you arrive somewhere. Yeah, but that doesn't work. Okay, so get lost and find something else. No, I don't know how it works here. Sasha fell sick. And there was no doctor who on the call would take a new patient already sick. They don't do that here. And we did not even know urgent care or emergency room. We did not even know those things. We knew nothing. We did not know the words to make it work over here. We had to learn it all. So what happened is that as he flew a few days before me, I was planning to arrive with my divorce paper to make sure to be able to get married to Sasha. And I was waiting to get that paper, but when I got that phone call from him, I am sick, but like it's serious UTI, it can go septic and kill me. So I need that medication. My doctor in Switzerland, where you are still, he knows me, just get the medication, take the next plane and come save me, because here I don't get the entire stuff over here. I did that within 24 hours. I was in Los Angeles. This time, no fear. I had such a drive and such a plan and such a destination and an intention. I made it happen. I came with the medication, a bunch of it. Okay, now heal, and heal fast, please. And he did. But still, that entire life over here has been a constant hell. So we build ourselves back up from extreme difficulties, emotional hardship, in a completely different way than the original intention, and completely different ways than abusive and toxic relationship. Like, okay, get to know the place, get to know the people, understand what works, what doesn't, understand who asks how much money for what, and what is the value you get in return, and experience.
Yeah.
And until we did experience it all, we didn't know.
Yep, it's true. You got to go through it to grow through it, right?
Amazing. So now we are 10 years, no, not 10 years, maybe 8 or 9 years over here. In the meantime, we spent 8 years in Los Angeles. Finally, 1 year ago, we were able to go to Arizona, where we live now, when we can finally breathe. And finally, we are finding ourselves, and finally, we start to settle, finally. And this is where I'm working the most on my money mindset, to actually come back to center, reestablish the fact, and be well.
So I think it's really important to highlight for anybody who's watching. Not only was Gemma starting to show up in service to other people by creating, podcasts and having conversations and coaching people in abusive relationships. You were doing this all while navigating, learning the American culture, learning the systems, how to, build sustainable business. None of this you did while you were in Switzerland, and so
I was a tax advisor in Switzerland, nothing to do with that.
yeah. So, I mean, I think it speaks to your resiliency and your dedication and commitment to self and then to others, right? Because in your continuous becoming, right? Because we're constantly becoming, you were still putting forth the needs and the lens of love to help other people move through really challenging times. And I do think that in our struggle, it gives us the ability to really hold space for other people in struggle because we know what it's like to be there.
This is why we are mentors much more than coaches. We are mentors because we have been there, done that, experienced it from hell to heaven.
Yeah.
We know both. So when we hold space to someone who is in hell right now, they know they can walk in our footsteps, and we are holding their hand. They are not alone, and we know how hurtful it is and how painful it is, and it's okay.
Yeah.
We know it's okay.
And that, it's so funny. You say mentor, I say guide. I thought about changing my name to outside of coaching, but I'm like, that's too much work, and I don't care that much. But you're right. Like, and our job isn't to tell you how to do it, right? I could not tell Gemma how to heal that subconscious narrative that still um believes you're unworthy of abundance of money, right? Like, I can't do that. But what I can do is share with you the tools and the strategies that have worked for me and bear witness and love you. And I think that's the most important part of all of this that anybody needs to really understand. For me, my work at its core, your work at its core, it's why we're so connected. All it is to do is show up and see you and love you outside of expectation, outside of needing you to leave that abusive relationship or needing you to quit that alcohol. It's to love you and see you and know that beyond all of that illusion is perfection. And hopefully in loving you there, you learn that you're worthy of loving yourself. And that is truly why I have this deep affinity and love for you, because I know that that is truly how you show up as well.
You nailed it. You nailed
Yeah.
it. It is exactly right. And
So what would you like to leave the audience with, besides the fact that she hasn't even tooted her own horn, that she's reached over 1 million downloads for her podcast? You continue to show up and do the work for yourself as you are guiding other women and men through really challenging times in their own lives. What do you want to leave this audience with?
that big discovery and understanding that money is not paper. Money is not something that you constantly lack of. Consider money as a girlfriend, as a person, and you exchange energy with that person. How are you going to talk to money? And how are you going to treat money so that money feels good and multiplies itself, because it does, and gives you more and more and more of itself? Are you going to give more and more and more of your love, your attention, your gratitude? You are the one who sets the rules. Because what you believe is the rules that you set for your relationship with money. Think about that. And by the way, you can put money, girlfriend, boyfriend, alcohol, sex, food, anything that actually you can abuse of. You can put money in that same group, because it is still a form of energy, and that energy has a relationship with you. What is that relationship with you? How comfortable do you feel? How happy? How blessed? And how thankful are you toward that? I could be thankful for alcohol to let me know early in life that I shall not consume it.
Yeah.
I shall not consume it, that's it. I'm grateful to have had this experience, even though it was an awful experience. I know I'm not going there.
Yeah. And I'm very grateful for my siblings for reminding me once again that family is not flesh and blood. I'm sorry, it just isn't. It is the people who show up and love you as you are without expectation. And I can love them where they're at and not wish for them to change. I can love them, but I don't have to have them in my experience.
Exactly. That is
So
true.
thank you so much. I appreciate you. I will have your information. If anybody really feels called, please reach out to Gemma and have a conversation. It will be well worth your time and energetic exchange, I can assure you.